Hey, what's up? Hello. If you're new here, my name is Kayla and you are watching Kayla's Bookish Vibes. Today's video is going to be me sharing some of my anticipated releases for quarter 3. I have a few of these videos here on my channel already and they do tend to be a little long, but I'm hoping that if you're sitting down to watch a YouTube video that you don't mind the long form content. Now, if you want something a little shorter, feel free to follow me over on Instagram or TikTok and I will try my best to do another video in short form for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started because these do tend to run a little long. I'll be putting the books here on the screen for you as well as their release dates. I have my handy dandy laptop here. The first book I have on this list is called Masquerade and this book is by Sangoyomi. In this book, it is tagged as a fantasy, historical fiction, and mythology. And we are following Adodo. Adodo's hometown of Timbuktu has been conquered by the warrior king of Yorubaland. He has whisked her away and ends up forcing her to marry him, essentially. And it's kind of like a rags to riches story. She was once very poor, but now that she has married this king of sorts, she's now very rich. But she has decided that she is going to turn his court against him and take power back into her own hands. I'm really excited about this book. I've never read anything like it. And the cover is stunning. This releases July 2nd, so it's actually already out. Our next book also is already out. It released on July 2nd, and this is a young adult, I believe like coming of age story. It's called Not About a Boy. It says Euphoria meets Girl in Pieces. I've never actually watched Euphoria, so that means very little to me. Don't even know what Girl in Pieces is, so again, it means absolutely nothing. A coming of age story of a girl trying to put a grief-stricken past behind her, only to be startled by the discovery of a long-lost sister who puts into question everything that she thought she knew. The interesting part about this and the reason that I wanted to read this book, it's kind of giving me Tiffany D. Jackson vibes because although it's a coming-of-age story, it seems like some of the themes are going to be a little bit darker. Our main character's name is Mel and she's 17 years old. She's beginning to piece her life back together under the supervision of Child Services, the exclusive foster care agency that raised her. It says she's sober and living with a new family among Manhattan's elite. It's her last chance at adoption before she ages out of the system and she promised that this time she would try. So again, it sounds like a little bit of like darker theme, so I'm really interested into seeing how this author spun this story. Okay, next is a book that is a little out of my comfort zone, I must admit. It's called Midnight Rooms, England 1840. Arabella spies an unexpected visitor in her uncle's parlor. He's scruffy in appearance, yet claims to be the scion of a fabulously wealthy family. Now, Arabella is the orphan daughter of a white man and a black woman. She's an outsider with no fortune or connections, so she's surprised when this man comes to the parlor asking to marry her. Her uncle agrees to the marriage and she is whisked off with her new husband. She is quickly taken away to Corringill Manor. Far from everything that she knows, she's expecting splendor, but she's shocked to find decay, skittish servants, and curt elders. But her kind new husband's loving touch promises a happy life together. She spends her days with her sister-in-law and hosting lavish parties with her husband, but at night things get very eerie, very dark, and very sinister. So again, this is a little out of my comfort zone. It is tagged as horror and historical fiction. I've really been enjoying some historical fiction thrillers, so I do want to give this a try to see if I can enjoy some historical fiction horror. It sounds like the perfect book to read this fall, and it comes out again July 2nd, so it came out on Tuesday. Speaking of perfect books to read for the fall time, October and November months, The White Guy Dies First, 13 Scary Stories of Fear and Power. So it says 13 scary stories, 13 authors of color, 13 times that we survived the first kill. This book has some authors that I'm interested in reading from. Tiffany D. Jackson, Kaylin Barron, and Terry G. Benton Walker are all authors that I'm really interested in reading from as far as this anthology is concerned, but I do want to check out some of the other authors that I've never read from that are listed here. Next, we have book 3 in the Harlem Renaissance Mystery Series. I do have the first 2 books and I have not read them yet. I told myself that I'm not allowed to buy this book until I read the first 2 books. This one comes out July 30th and it's called A Lethal Lady by Nekesa Afia. I love all 3 covers of this book, but I do really need to read the first 2. It's pretty much a murder mystery. It's tagged as historical fiction because it takes place in the 1920s. which if you don't know, the 1920s Harlem Renaissance is like one of my favorite time periods. So I'm really excited about this one. And if you're into like cozy murder mysteries, you should check this series out. I do have quite a few rom-coms on this list. Something about a cute rom-com written by a Black author about Black characters. I just love to collect those books and have them on hand whenever I'm just in the mood for a really cute rom-com. My preference in romances is just like nice, sweet, light, fluffy romances. So whenever I can find them, I'm always snagging them up. So the first one I have on my list is Second Tides The Charm. This one comes out on August 6th. I'm really excited about this one because our female main character has a pretty interesting job. She is a marine biologist and just landed the perfect summer job on a shark research boat. The boat, however, that she has landed this job on is owned by her ex-boyfriend, Adrian. Since their split, Adrian has risen to internet fame as a shark expert with the launch of his YouTube channel to dispel myths and educate viewers about sharks. This is something that you just would never think that you would read about in a romance, and then the fact that the characters are Black, I'm just loving it. I'm loving the plot, the synopsis, the storyline of this book, and I can't wait to get my hands on it and add it to my little contemporary romance collection. Our next book is called The Kill List. This is the third book in the Inspector Angelica Henley series. Now I have the first two books in this series. The first one is called The Jigsaw Man, and I have not read it yet. I told myself I'm not allowed to buy this book either until I at least complete the first two. The second book in the series is called The Binding Room. I actually just purchased that one because it was on Amazon's 50% off sale when they had it a little while ago. So I did pick that one up. But I'm going to read these two books before I can read the last one. I'll read you the synopsis of The Jigsaw Man, which is the first book in the series. When body parts are found on the banks of the river Dii, Angelica Henley is tasked with finding the killer. Eerie echoes of previous crimes led Henley to question Peter Oliver, aka the Jigsaw Killer, who is currently serving a life sentence for a series of horrific murders. Now this book is set in London, I believe, or like England somewhere. And I didn't realize that until I tried to read this book on audio, and I quickly realized like, okay, there are going to be some things that are like not connecting because I'm not familiar with their law system or like their police lingo. That did kind of throw me when I decided I just need to read this book physically. Next we have Born in a House of Glass by Shinen by Chinye Emezi. This book is released on August 13th and it is tagged as just fiction. So it says Yodamo's family is at war, a war of relationships played out under the tyranny of a monster dad. She's 12 years old and has a peculiar love for her father. He is a reverend who favors her but beats his wife and his other children. She sees the good in him. He pays the school fees and he tells her that she's named after a peaceful child and that she is most likely to become a doctor. So it sounds like she's able to love him despite his horrible flaws. She has a newly married sister who whisks her away from her family and takes her to live with her in Akawa. She experiences violence firsthand for the first time, I'm assuming, and later pieces of a sinister picture emerge that shake her life to the core. So it sounds like it's going to be a bit of a rough read, a very emotional book, but I am excited about reading it. I do tend to gravitate towards darker books, and this one, again, it comes out August 13th. All right, our next book is called Frequent Flyers, and this one is released on August 13th. It says her life is up in the air, literally. Lainey Turner has some loose ends, a nearly complete PhD, a job she basically enjoys, and a lifelong crush that she's almost gotten over. On a trip to reunite with her family in England and the said crush, whose name is Jonah, Lainey intends to take care of one of those items. Her favorite cousin, Gemma, is engaged to Jonah. So her favorite cousin is engaged to her crush. And they want Lainey to be both their maid of honor and their best man at the wedding. It's the perfect opportunity to prove the pitying gazes are wrong. She's over Jonah, really. As Lainey commutes between New York City and London to help with the wedding prep, she befriends her handsome seatmate, Dr. Ridley Aronson, who was a widower and a single father. It's prickly at first, but feisty Lainey reminds him of a more carefree time in his life, and after his steamy layover in Iceland, the pair take a direct flight from seatmates to lovers. He even agrees to be her +1 for the wedding. For once, everything seems to be falling into place. excited for this one. Again, it comes out August 13th, and anytime that I can collect a cute little rom-com with Black characters written by Black authors, I'm going to add it to my shelf. Next we have It's Elementary by Elise Bryant. This is a fast-paced, completely delightful new mystery about what happens when parents get a little too involved in their kids' school. I'm excited about this one. It comes out July 9th, so it actually comes out today, like the day that I'm filming this video. Mavis Miller is not a PTA parent. She has enough on her plate with her feisty 7-year-old daughter, an exhausting job at a nonprofit, and the complexities of a multi-generational household. So no one is more surprised than Mavis when she caves to Trisha Holbrook, the long-reigning, slightly terrifying PTA president. She finds herself in charge of the school's brand new DEI committee. As things go off rails at the very first meeting when the new principal's plans leave Trisha absolutely furious. Later that night, when Mavis spies Trisha in yellow rubber gloves and booties, lugging cleaning supplies and giant black trash bags to her waiting minivan, it's only natural that her mind jumps to somewhere it surely wouldn't in the light of day. I guess you can tell by the cover too that she sees this woman carrying these things and she's thinking that there's a body inside the bag. The next book I have is Love Requires Chocolate. This is by Raven K. Stringfield and it's going to be released August 20th. This is a young adult romance. In this one we are following Whitney Curry. She's primed to have an epic semester abroad. She's created the perfect itinerary and many to-do lists after collecting every detail possible about Paris, France. She anticipates a grand adventure. But all is not as she imagined when she's dropped off at her prestigious Parisian flat. A fish out of water, Whitney struggles to juggle schoolwork, homesickness, and mastering the French language. Cue a French tutor, a grumpy but very handsome soccer star who's determined to show Whitney the real Paris. Is this type A theater nerd ready to see how lessons on the City of Lights can turn into lessons on love? Again, this is a YA romance, so keep that in mind. Sounds like it's going to be very fluffy and sweet. Next, we have Going Toe to Toe by Yahara St. John. This is a part of an interconnected series, and this is another rom-com. This is an adult one. The series is called Six Gems, and I believe this is the last book in this series. I have read Frenemy Fix Up, which was another book, I believe book 4 in this series, and I ended up giving like 2.5 stars. I really enjoyed the writing style, but I could not get with the male main character. He really just seemed very elitist and annoying. Our female main character was a yoga instructor, and she was very free-spirited and just different from him, and he kept bringing up how many times like this was not the woman that he would typically go for, and that he preferred another type of woman that he could take with him to his business meetings. He annoyed me, to be quite honest. So I give that book 2.5 stars. But I do want to continue on with the series because each woman in this series is a part of like a large friend group, and I do love their friendship and seeing the friendship aspect of all these romances in each book. I think the author did a good job at making it still a romance and putting just the right amount of the friendship in each book, where the friendship wasn't overpowering the romance, but it was still very much present. So I do want to follow the other ladies and see how they fall in love. And Going Toe to Toe is a part of one of the other ladies' stories. She is a ballerina, or her career as a ballerina is actually coming to an end. It says, after their no strings playing in paradise, Lyric and Devon never thought they'd see each other again until they did. Now they have a very different idea about what the future holds. Devon is a single dad, and he spent the last 8 years shielding his daughter Kiana from life's disappointments, but nothing could prepare him for the latest bombshell, discovering Lyric Taylor is Kiana's new dance teacher. So cute. I feel like that's going to be such a cute little storyline. Lyric, who is our dance instructor, she keeps telling herself that what happens in Aruba stays in Aruba. After all, now that the curtain has closed on her ballet career, and with the search for her biological parents stalling, she could use a little distraction. So when a lodging mix-up leads to an unexpected fling in paradise with Devon, Lyric takes the plunge. I'm excited. I think the storyline is going to be so cute. Again, I really enjoyed the writing style of the last book. I just didn't like the main character. So hopefully Devon can win me over in this book. One more book. This is the second book in a series. It's called Drown Me with Dreams by Gabby Burton. This is the second book in the Sing Me to Sleep series, which is a YA fantasy. I haven't read the first book yet, and I told myself I'm not going to buy the second one until I read the first one. So I'll give you a brief synopsis of the first one. This is a dark, seductive YA fantasy debut about a siren. A siren must choose between protecting her family and following her heart in a prejudiced kingdom where her existence is illegal. She survives on lies. As a soldier in training at the most prestigious barracks in the kingdom, she lies about being a siren to avoid execution. At night, working as an assassin for a dangerous group of mercenaries, she lies about her true identity. And to her family, she tells the biggest lie of all, that she can control her siren powers and doesn't struggle constantly against an impulse to kill. That's the synopsis for the first one. First of all, the covers of both of these books are absolutely stunning, but the cover of that second book, Drown Me With Dreams, I love it so much, and I really need to hurry up and read the first one so that I can own the second one on my shelf. All right, guys, those are all the books that I have for you today. If you have some recommendations on books that are being released in Q3, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I really enjoy taking recommendations just as much as I enjoy giving them. If you did make it to the end of today's video, please leave this emoji to let me know that you stayed until the very end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.